To say that the original 2002 Spider-Man movie was important to me would be an understatement. Same thing with the original Toy Biz action figure line. I saw that movie 9 times in theaters, and countless more times on DVD. Heck, this is the first thing you see when you walk into my house. The Marvel Legends version is okay, but imagine my enthusiasm when I saw the solicitation pictures for this. Is the new MAFEX No Way Home friendly neighborhood Spider-Man a home run? Or is this Medicom Tobey Maguire a bright, shiny letdown? Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Starting with the packaging, and you know I love a MAFEX box. A big window showing off most of what we're getting, more logos than a race car, colorful spines, loads of figure photography, a non-reproducible holographic sticker so you know it's not a bootleg, and this little bear seeing Daddy take off the belt. For packaging, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man gets a friendly 5 points. Before moving on though, I have one more quick note about the packaging. MAFEX usually wraps their figures in plastic like Laura Palmer and stuffs saran wrap between the joints to protect the paint job. Not this time. Is it that they don't care about this Spidey as much? Or is it possibly a subtle cost-saving measure? Moving on to presentation, and Tobey stands just a smidge under 6 inches, or thereabouts 15¼ centimeters. Tobey Maguire's real-life height is 5'8", so that works for me. It also puts him in the same range as Marvel Legends, but more on that later. Full disclosure, I do not watch other people's videos on figures that I intend on reviewing, but I have seen some of the online chatter for this figure, and let's just be generous and say that the response has been pretty mixed. Some of the most common complaints I'm seeing are about these ugly segmented shoulders, though if we're honest, that's just a MAFEX thing. Another persistent criticism is just how shiny he is. Going by the promotional images, I definitely understand, and to be perfectly frank, that's one thing even Hasbro got right. Heck, even Toy Biz. On the one hand, the shininess does capture all the texture, but all the fine detail kind of gets lost. I've seen online where people hit it with a matte spray and it definitely elevates it. Another criticism I'm seeing is the head. Stepping back, it's a bit small. In its defense, it's sculpted nicely. All the web lines and textures are present and accounted for. My only real issue is the same issue I have with just about every MAFEX figure, which is that the joints are really obvious. The thing is, you don't buy a MAFEX to stand static on your shelf, you buy it for action poses. I still think the shoulders are ugly, but in service of lifelike articulation they function great. The web lines have been wonderfully sculpted and painted, and I'm really happy that they went with the movie-accurate gunmetal gray as opposed to the bright silver of the Marvel Legends. The shininess makes it hard to see, but there is actually shading in the muscles, and all that screen-accurate texture is just spot on. And while I might not love all the joints, I do really appreciate that they made the waist cut the top of the belt as opposed to the bottom of the belt like the comic book version. Long story short, I do have nitpicks, some more jarring than others, but overall there is way more to love here than not. Docking him for those minor nitpicks though, and for presentation, I'm giving this Spider-Man 3 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and not only is it one of the most important things about a Spider-Man figure, it's also one of MAFEX's greatest strengths. Working our way top down, and Tobey has a dumbbell joint at the base of the skull and a ball joint at the base of the neck. In combination with the two, he can look up this far, which is phenomenal. Here he is looking straight, and he can look this far down. Tobey also has an incredible amount of tilt and can look all the way around. Moving on down, those ugly rotator cuffs are about to come in real handy, as Spidey can raise his arms this high and can wobble all over the place. Between his rotator cuff and his shoulder articulation, he can actually bend his arm in this far and behind his back this far. Traversing our way down Tobey's arm, and of course we have bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbows with a pretty good bend, and wrist balls that can swivel and hinge either up and down or side to side. Shifting to the torso, and Tobey has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. That 1-2 punch means he can arch back this far, which is exactly what I want to see in a Spider-Man, and he can hunch forward this far. Thanks to the diaphragm and waist, he has a very natural and very deep amount of side-to-side tilt, and he can also twist at the diaphragm and waist. Below the web belt, and Tobey has ball-jointed hips. They're actually drop-down hinge, giving him an incredible high kick. He can also bend his leg back this far, and split this wide with both feet on the floor. To preserve the sculpt, Tobey doesn't have thigh cut, but he can still get twist in the hip. Moving on down though, and we've got pinless double-jointed knee with a great bend, and then moving all the way down, Tobey has toe articulation and ankles that can swivel, fall off, hinge, fall off, and like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, going back and forth between wanting to be with MJ, not wanting to be with MJ, and wanting to be with her again, pivot, and fall off. If it wasn't completely obvious, for Poseability, I'm giving Spider-Man 5 points. Moving on to Playability, and hands down, this is the best part of a MAFEX figure. And oh boy, are we in for a treat. In addition to the fists Tobey comes preloaded with, in true Spider fashion, he has 8 pairs of alternate hands. 8! In total, that means this Spider-Man has 18 hands. For those counting at home, kids, that's this many minus this many. Before this, the handsiest Spider-Man in my collection was MAFEX Ben Reilly with 7 total pairs, but my boy Tobey has 9. So then, in addition to the fists we've been looking at, we've got a pair of web-spinning thwip hands, a pair of web-holding hands, a pair of relaxed/accessory holding hands, a pair of slightly more open accessory holding hands, a pair of pointer hands. That way he can reenact the meme and point to his fellow Peters and remind you which Spider-Man is really number 1. He's also got these 2-fingered pointing Disney theme park worker hands. You know, because at Disney you're supposed to point with 2 fingers because one is too intimidating. That said, Andrew Garfield did compare him to a cool youth pastor, so it only makes sense he'd have the preacher pointer. And if anyone knows about cool youth pastors, it's me. I don't know. Maybe this one's for Mary Jane. What? I'm not a youth pastor anymore. Anyway, of course he couldn't do whatever a spider can without wall-crawling hands, and in true MAFEX tradition, he also has a pair of magnetic ones. Not just hands, but also a pair of magnetic feet. I've got to admit, it's always one of the coolest features of a MAFEX Spidey. Forget a report card. If you really want your mom to be proud of you, slap this bad boy on the fridge. That being said, accessory holding hands implies the existence of accessories, and this Spidey does have a couple, reminding us that this is a No Way Home Spider-Man. He comes with the cure for Sandman. It's got all sorts of little wires and buttons and rivets, and overall Medicom's done a great job. Of course, all you really need to stop Sandman is one of these. He can hold that with the 2-fingered hand, the more relaxed open hand, which is nice and snug, and also the more open hand. Not as snug, but gets the job done. He's also got a loose Spider-Man mask. Why, it's almost as flat as Tobey Maguire's acting. The wider open hand will definitely not work for this. It'll work sideways, but that just looks unnatural. Your best bet is the more closed one. Of course, a Spider-Man mask can mean only one thing, an unmasked Peter Parker head. Not just a head, but a whole head-neck combo. Not only is it sculpted well, but I'm very happy with the face printing. It's important to remember this is a No Way Home Spider-Man, so if he's a little bit older looking, that makes sense. I have heard online that a lot of people aren't that crazy about this head, and honestly, I don't get it. It's way better than Hasbro's. Not only that, but Medicom included an alternate smiling head to sweeten the deal. Between the sculpting and the painting and the 5 o'clock shadow, I think this one might be even better. Leastways, it puts a smile on my face. And hey, remember those web spinning and web holding hands? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Spidey comes with a couple of short web blasts and a couple of long ones. I'm pretty sure they're reused from the comic versions, but this time have been cast in a transparent plastic. They loop around the wrist like so. Spidey also has a couple of web lines to swing from, and if all that wasn't enough, he even has a Doctor Strange portal. It's been cast in a transparent orange, but with some yellow around the edges to really make it feel like an energy effect. Swapping out for an orange bulb, and as you can see, it backlights really well. Lastly, a no MAFEX figure can be complete without Medicom's dynamic flight stand. As well packed as Spider-Man may be, Playability is more than just accessories. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting where it all began, and here we have the original Toy Biz Tobey, along with this one from Spider-Man 2. Jumping ahead, and here's Hasbro's take on a No Way Home Tobey, and then rounding out the rest of the trio is the Marvel Legends Andrew Garfield, along with Tom Holland in his integrated suit, and the final swing suit. That said, as long as we're celebrating live-action Spideys, here's the Japanese version, but for just a few villainous No Way Home co-stars, here's the Green Goblin, Sandman, who's kinda small but scales well here, and the Spider-Man 2 branded Dr. Octopus. That said, for just a few other perfectly cast heroes of my lifetime, and here's the NECA Superman in desperate need of repair, the NECA Michael Keaton Batman, the Toy Biz Michael Chiklis Thing, the Hasbro Logan, the Hasbro Iron Man, and the Hasbro Captain America. For a MAFEX Spider-Man comparison, and here's the classic comic book version, but for a relative scale comparison, here's Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Your shoulders are weird, I hunch. For playability, a superior figure like this deserves a superior 6 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got this one from HobbyLink Japan for $96. Stateside he goes for between $120 to $130, which is about the same as Japan when you factor in the shipping. The figure has problems, but the value is astronomical. The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man might not be budget friendly, but honestly I'm probably never gonna need another Tobey Maguire figure again. For price, I'm giving Spider-Man 4 points, averaging out to a very good total of 4.6 out of 5. Agree? Disagree? Sound off in the comments below, and while you're down there, tell me who your favorite live-action Spidey is, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss my upcoming multi-part deep dive into the Marvel Legends Maximum Spider-Man. For even more Spider-Man, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice and have fun.